What if I told you Lego almost went bankrupt? What if the most popular toy brand loved by millions across the world never existed? And what if I told you the company's dying?
Well, I think, again, there's something almost philosophical, and then there's a lot of, you need to fix how you manufacture and how you sell and so on. You don't think yourself into a new way of acting, but you act yourself into a new way of thinking. The philosophical was this other question I was asked by the person I met once a quarter, which was, why do you exist? And when you answer that question very succinctly, and the answer in 10 seconds is, we make a material like no other material in the world that acts as if it was glued, yet it's easy to take apart. And there is nothing that you cannot build with this material.
That's Jorn Vig Knudstorp. He was the CEO of Lego for over 10 years, and he's the sole reason the company's in business today. In 2003, Lego was on the verge of bankruptcy, $800 million in debt, losing an average of $100 to $200 million every year. After being appointed to CEO in 2004, Jorn was able to successfully transform the company within a few years, and by the time the financial crisis hit the world in 2008, Lego was growing at a rate of 30% year over year. In 2016, though, Jorn observed an interesting shift in the culture of Lego, and after 12 years as the CEO, he stepped down.
I think one of the elements was that we were now expanding very fast geographically. So we hired, in a short space of time, thousands of new colleagues, people who came in from very different companies. So in our business, we don't say, oh, we're in the toy industry, so we must hire somebody from another toy company. We hired from many different backgrounds. Now, when you do that in a short space of time, you also get 100 different opinions about who we are and what we're all about and how we should run a company. So we lost that sense of being together. And so by late 2016, I asked the senior leaders, about a group of 100 people, and I said, what makes this company successful? And I got almost 100 different answers.
2017 was the first year since 2004 that Lego experienced a downturn in sales. With hundreds of stores all over the world, Lego is by far the biggest toy company. They earned $8 billion in 2021 alone. But ever since Jorn stepped down as CEO, the fanbase has been divided. The formula which saved Lego is now killing the company. So the question is, what can be done? If you want to stay at the top, you've got to take risks, and this is exactly what Jorn did in the first place to save the company. Profits might be going up for Lego, but the company itself is stagnating. As of right now, Lego has around 40 different themes. With the exception of a few IPs, everything that Lego produces is tied to a third party, and in most cases, the success of a Lego theme is directly correlated to how popular that specific IP is. Star Wars is a great example because it's worth billions of dollars. Licensing brands like Star Wars is not easy though. It requires countless meetings, hours of back and forth negotiation, and piles of legal paperwork that have to be approved by both sides. Every successful partnership comes down to one underlying factor: the deal. And right now there are 3 companies that Lego needs to go after. Netflix currently has over 207 million subscribers and 15,000 active titles on the platform. Now obviously a lot of this content is not necessarily kid-friendly, but believe it or not, Lego has actually already partnered with Netflix in the past to create a Stranger Things set, and this is definitely not a kids-friendly show. This set was so successful that it won Toy of the Year in 2020. I can only wonder why Lego has not released any more sets based on Netflix content. In 2021, Netflix released a TV show based on the hit video game League of Legends. For months, it held the #1 ranking as the most watched TV show on the platform. Since Lego already has a partnership with Blizzard to produce Overwatch sets, this would have been a perfect fit. With 125 million average players, League of Legends is arguably one of the biggest games on the planet, and it completely dwarfs Overwatch, which only averages around 5 million players. And you know what? League players spend a fortune on in-game items, so it's not a far stretch to think that many of them would want an exclusive Lego set dedicated to Arcane, especially since the show was so successful. And before you call me a massive League fan, I don't even play the game, I play Dota 2. Let's take a look at YouTube though. YouTube is the second largest search engine behind Google, with 34 million people visiting the platform each month. There are millions of YouTube channels uploading videos and producing content on a daily basis. Many of these creators are huge celebrities. A great example is Mr. Beast, who's arguably the face of YouTube. YouTube creators earn ridiculous amounts of money from ads and sponsors, but they also earn tons of money by selling merchandise with their own unique branding. Just think how many times you've watched a YouTube video where someone plugs their merch line. I've actually always wondered why LEGO doesn't sell their own merchandise, but that's an entirely different conversation. You probably see where I'm going here, but if LEGO were to collaborate with YouTube personalities to create LEGO sets, it would be an absolute home run. If you're thinking this would be expensive, then you're just wrong. LEGO could actually do this with little to no upfront cost by simply partnering with each individual YouTuber to create a virtual set that fans can pre-order. LEGO could then produce a limited quantity to fulfill these orders. Now obviously there would have to be a specific agreement in place for each individual creator on what percentage of revenue they would get to keep. But just imagine what would happen if LEGO partnered with Mr. Beast to sell a Mr. Beast Polybag minifigure. If you're not already convinced that LEGO's missing out on some huge partnership opportunities, then let's take a look at Pokemon. Believe it or not, Pokemon is the single biggest media franchise on the planet. It beats out every other single IP and it's not even remotely close. Pokemon has two core audiences: kids who enjoy playing the game and adults who enjoy collecting the cards. Capturing even a tiny percentage of either of these audiences would be absolutely insane. Unfortunately, LEGO's biggest competitor, Mega Constructs, already has an exclusive agreement with Pokemon. These contracts usually only last a few years though. There are over 898 different Pokemon. That's over 898 different sets that LEGO could produce, and this is not even mentioning the fact that LEGO could make different variations of Charizard and Pikachu just like Pokemon has done over the years. Imagine how popular sets like these would be if each one came with an exclusive card pack that couldn't be acquired anywhere else. People who have never purchased LEGO before would be lining up in droves to buy these sets, solely to get access to the card packs within them. Now I have to say, LEGO has made some smart moves recently, especially their partnership with Epic Games, but they still have a long way to go. If you're not familiar with Epic, they're the creators of Fortnite and the Unreal Engine. I'll be honest, I have absolutely no experience facilitating partnerships, but at the end of the day, every company cares about profits, and each one of those partnerships I just mentioned could be extremely lucrative. Most LEGO sets are sold in retail stores, and that means LEGO can't reach those customers. If you buy a set at Target or Walmart, it's safe to say that LEGO has no idea you exist, but if you order on the website, this problem is immediately eliminated with a VIP account. LEGO needs a way to associate orders with individual customers. I think QR codes could instantly solve this problem, which is funny because LEGO already leverages QR codes in some capacity in their instruction manuals, mainly to give customers access to virtual instructions. Most people are never going to scan these codes though, because it's easier to simply follow along in the instruction manual that comes with the actual set. It also takes away from the LEGO building experience in my opinion. Imagine if there was a reason to scan the QR code. What if by scanning the QR code you could win an exclusive LEGO prize? And what if you could only scan the QR code through the LEGO app? This would allow LEGO to track all of its customers and give them direct access to the retail consumers who don't order online. What about individual LEGO themes though? I don't have any data to back this up, but I would be willing to bet that the 501st Battle Pack was LEGO's single best-selling set of all time. And guess what? LEGO didn't create this on their own intuition. The fans harassed LEGO for months until the company finally caved. You can actually thank M&R for starting this movement. LEGO needs to be analyzing which sets are successful and identify why they're successful. I can only wonder why LEGO hasn't tried to replicate the success of the 501st Battle Pack and create other sets that are similar. It could be possible that LEGO just doesn't have access to any of this data, and if that's the case, the company drastically needs to ramp up its technology spend and adopt a modern data stack. When was the last time you saw LEGO trending in the news? LEGO's marketing strategy frankly sucks. If you ask 10 different people in the company what the marketing strategy is, I think you would get 10 different answers. Every few months, LEGO releases a new wave of sets, makes a few announcements on social media, runs some paid ads, and sends sets out for review through the LEGO Ambassador Network. They need to expand their appetite. If you're simply marketing for marketing's sake, then you're failing. Take Tesla for example. The company spends $0 on marketing, yet somehow they have arguably one of the strongest and most well-known brands in the US. I would argue that LEGO has even more brand recognition than Tesla, especially worldwide. The difference is you don't see people talking about LEGO in the same way that people talk about Elon Musk, Tesla, or SpaceX. When I think of marketing, I think of Fortnite and Coinbase. In 2019, Fortnite launched an in-game event where the game servers were shut down for 36 hours. Everyone was stuck looking at a black hole every time they tried to log into the game. You can see just how much hype this marketing stunt generated by looking at the Google Trends over the past 5 years. To this day, I think this is the single smartest marketing campaign of all time. Coinbase's recent ad for Super Bowl 56 is another great example. For a full 60 seconds, a QR code bounced back and forth across the screen, encouraging people to scan it on their phones. That little QR code generated so many downloads that it crashed the website for a few minutes. In fact, it was estimated that 20 million people visited the website within the first 60 seconds. Ever since the release of the Lego Movie in 2014, Lego's marketing has been stagnant. This movie was so successful that it increased sales by 15% the year it was released, and 25% the year after. It's arguably one of the best animated movies of all time, and there's only one reason for this. It was made by Lego fans, for Lego fans. I'll always be a fan of Lego Star Wars, and other Lego games. I've spent countless hours playing nearly all of them with my brother. The problem is, Lego's been pushing out the same product for the last 15 years. Don't get me wrong, they've made some great improvements in the newest Skywalker saga, and fans and critics have been giving it resoundingly positive reviews. But if you want to make a splash in the gaming world, you've got to develop games specifically for gamers. A great example of this is Elden Ring, which has been arguably one of the most popular and successful game launches in the last decade. Lego had this opportunity years ago when they had the chance to buy Minecraft before Microsoft purchased the company for $2.5 billion. Honestly, Lego needs to create an entirely new game, and that means bringing in a new developer team with a fresh set of eyes to build a game specifically for gamers. Building Lego virtually can never replace the experience you get in real life, but it would be great if Lego could just create a giant sandbox game similar to Besiege. Lego Builder's Journey is the best game Lego has produced in years, and even though it's not fledged out very well, it's still the closest experience you can get to playing with Lego without actually holding a tangible brick. This game did something pretty interesting. It laid the groundwork for Lego to produce a sandbox building experience where people can render out builds in real time and make animations. In case you didn't know, Lego has a huge fan base that loves making animations. That's actually what inspired the creation of the Lego Movie. The problem is, it's extremely time-consuming and technical. Usually you have to learn how to use a tool like Blender. Imagine what Lego could achieve if they actually empowered their fan base. One of the things that's always amazed me is just how much retired Lego sets cost. In 2019, Lego acquired Bricklink, which is basically the world's largest online Lego community and marketplace. Bricklink lets you buy and sell all things Lego, but it's mainly used for buying and selling individual Lego pieces in bulk. It's not the best place to buy Lego sets. That would be eBay. I thought Bricklink would change when Lego acquired the company. To be honest, I've never been a big fan of Bricklink because the website's a bit archaic, and the UI sucks. It's just not as user-friendly or as efficient as something like eBay. Lego needs to become the Steam of toys. The platform is run by Valve, and it's arguably the largest distributor of games in the entire world. It's a platform that lets you purchase games and sell in-game items. It's basically a library, a social platform, and a stock market all in one, just for gamers. Valve is private, so it's hard to estimate just how much money Steam is making. However, in 2017, it was estimated that the platform did $4.3 billion in game sales alone, and that's not even counting market transactions. This was before COVID, and it's probably safe to say the number has quadrupled since then. Valve takes a 30% cut of all game sales, and a 5% cut from all market sales. This is not even mentioning the fact that Valve produces their own games and sells hardware like the Steam Deck or the Index. At this point, Valve is most likely one of the world's largest and most profitable private companies. In fact, in 2011, it was said that Valve makes more money per employee than Google or Apple, and controls an estimated 50 to 70% of the market for downloadable games. Lego doesn't need to recreate the wheel, they just need to create a better one that applies to the toy market. Imagine being able to go to your nearest Lego store and trade in your old sets every time Lego releases a new wave. Kids would absolutely love this. Depending on the condition, Lego could resell or recycle the Lego. There's even a scenario where Lego could simply display it if it was something super rare like the original Cloud City or a gold C-3PO. For customers not wanting to go this route, Lego could simply build a better online marketplace where people can buy and sell their retired Lego for real dollars, and simply take a transaction fee from both the buyer and the seller. This is exactly the business model that eBay has used for years, and as any collector will tell you, there's no better place to buy Lego than eBay. The secondhand market is an entirely untapped reservoir that could generate huge returns for Lego. LEGO needs to completely rethink the way they're doing polybags, because it has the potential to be the single most profitable aspect of LEGO's business. When you buy a polybag, you know exactly what you're getting, one of 12 minifigures. You can even feel the polybag to identify who's inside so you don't end up purchasing duplicates. LEGO needs to gamify their polybags and incentivize people to purchase more of them. The only way to do this is by changing the rarity of specific minifigures so that they're harder to find, or by adding exclusive minifigures to random packs. Maybe that means you have a 1 in 10,000 chance of finding an ultra rare minifigure that's not available anywhere else. Now obviously to do this you would have to get rid of polybags entirely, and use small boxes, otherwise people would be able to feel what's inside. Buying a polybag should be like buying a Pokemon pack. You should feel like you have the potential to open something super rare that nobody else has. LEGO could even create some sort of a game where each minifigure is assigned a rarity and a specific set of abilities or traits. Implementing this change for polybags is actually pretty straightforward, because it solely requires LEGO to alter their packaging, change the quantity at which specific minifigures are produced, and insert a few exclusive minifigures in random boxes. With the right marketing, I think this could be LEGO's single most successful product. As much as people hate to say it, every LEGO fan prefers the minifigures more than the set. If you want proof of this, just look how much retired minifigures cost. You could do an exclusive polybag for every single theme in LEGO's catalog. When I started this channel a year ago, I set out with one goal: to get hired by LEGO. I know a lot of you are probably wondering why I don't just submit a resume and apply. And to tell you the truth, I used to do this every week. And yes, I already have a full-time job in marketing. Ultimately, I got sick of submitting applications though, and now I'm leaving this in the hands of the LEGO community. If you're still wondering why LEGO should hire me, then you obviously missed the entire point of this video, but I think Jorn summarizes it best.
So they taught me a lot about this, and I met a wonderful guy. This guy had built with Lego since he was 3 years old, and he did some really extraordinary things. And so he really showed to me what you can make with Lego when you have a true design mind, a real creative. And I asked him, how do we find more people like you? And I realized it was all about this passion he had for the brand and for the product. And so instead of hiring people who were professional designers or professional marketeers, we wanted to find people who had always loved Lego and had some really novel ideas. And the best way to find those people is not to look at their resume, but to invite them in for a workshop and see what they could contribute. So that started a whole new generation of designers who made products that people loved because they themselves loved Lego.